Hello, future designers and developers. Today is just a quick getting started video on our portfolio page. So what we had to do, this was at the asynchronous day that was just yesterday, we had to make sure that we had a palette selected. So this included our main fonts and colors that we are going to use for our portfolio page. So what I want to do is I want to create a new frame where I'm actually going to start designing a portfolio. You can see I have a mock-up right over here. So this is my biography page, or portfolio page rather, with projects, contact, home. This is kind of our main goal, is to get something like this totally done. Just something that looks nice and pretty and simple. Remember, we want to use simple colors, simple fonts, and not have too much on our page. This is our goal. If you do get past this, you can start thinking about what you want to have on your page. These are going to be websites, but the way that I have it formatted is just in a zigzag structure underneath my home page. But you could also have it as a separate page if you wanted to. But that's if you get ahead. But let's focus on just getting something like this done inside of Figma. We're just doing this inside of Figma. Cool. So let's go back into Figma, and we are going to hit that new frame tool, and I'm going to choose my desktop frame. Remember, whatever you're designing on, if you're designing on a MacBook, if you're designing on an iPad, you can choose the specific frame for that. I'm designing on a desktop, so I'm going to choose the desktop. Cool. So now that we have this, let's say that we want to think about this in a grid. We want to design this as if we are designing for CSS Grid. So I'm going to go over to the actual frame itself, so I make sure that my frame is selected, and I should see grid or layout grid. I'm going to add a new layout grid, and by default it's having a grid with pixels. I'm going to change that to columns, and I'm going to change the count to 4. There also is a gutter, which is our margin in between those, but we also have a margin on the side. So I am going to throw 20 pixels on the side, and then there are 20 pixels in between. So now I have these evenly split up 4 rows over here. I can also add another one, and this time I am going to change it to rows. And now I have these individual grids that are all laid out. I'm going to drop this down to 4 count again. So now I just have 4. And I'm also going to change the color of this to be blue, so then where they overlap, it's purple, which is pretty cool, I think, at least. And I'm also going to drop down the opacity to only be about 5. That just allows us to see a little bit more. I'm going to do the same thing on here too. It's kind of at a high opacity. Wow, that got real light, or at least on my screen. Cool. Still looks like it's capturing on your screen a little bit darker. But yeah, so that gives us our little grid layout. So now we have these evenly spaced blocks, so that if I want to use this font, which I've already selected, I'm going to Command Copy, Command Paste, and I'll drag it over to my other page. Then I can line it up exactly in one of those grids that I want it to occupy, and I can add in my name. I'm also going to resize this, so make it maybe a little too large. Right there, my name. Then say that I want to add in a little blurb about me. I can grab my subheader, Command Copy, Command Paste. I'm going to throw that in where it lines up on one of these grids as well. And then inside of here, I can say, welcome to my portfolio. Portfolio. Here you will see my designs and interests. Please reach out with any questions. That's kind of basic, and you probably want it to be more related to what you're doing. I can also change the size of this a little bit. I think that's fine. I might actually move this down to where it is aligned with the bottom of the grid instead. So that looks pretty good. I can also grab my subheader if I wanted to add a navigation bar up top. I'm just going to paste a couple of these. And then you can fill those in with like home, contact, about, whatever you want. So we have that. Now, these are all great and dandy. If we want to change our colors, we can also do that as well. So I can click on here, and because I have these colors already selected, if I went down to my fill, you're going to see all of those colors are inside of my document colors. So if I wanted to change this to that light blue, purplish color, it's right there. It looks pretty good. Now what we can also do is use some of those resources that I have laid out over here. If we go over to our web design, we have our asset resources over here. So we have Pexels for images, Unsplash for images, we've got Font Awesome, we've got Google Fonts, and we've also got illustrations if we wanted to add some illustrations here. Let's add an illustration and an icon because I think those are the most unique. This has a bunch of different kinds of illustrations that we can use. Let's go to Undraw. And you can see, oh, it's now a different place. But I'll just go over to Undraw and browse now. So now they have different illustrations that I might want to add to my website. I'm just going to add this nice little reading icon. You can also change the color up top here to one of the colors that may be for your website. Say that your website uses a specific green, and it's this green. You just add your hex code over here, go to the image that you want, download the SVG to your project, and it gets downloaded over here. Now, when we're adding it into here, we need to go over to File, and then Place Image. I'm going to grab the last thing that I have downloaded, open it, and I like to place it outside of my palette and then resize it. So I'm going to shift to resize and make sure that it holds the aspect ratio. And now I can move this onto my web page nice and easy. It's not exactly where I would have liked it to be, but that's okay. That now gives a nice little look to it, nice little aesthetic. The green and blue go all right. Now, let's add a icon. Let's say that we want to add a home icon instead of using something that says home up top. So I'd go over to that asset page again. We'll go to Font Awesome, and I'm going to search for home. And you can see they give you a couple free ones. The ones that are blacked out are not free, but that's okay. We don't need to spend money on this class. We're gonna choose this home icon, very basic home. There is this download SVG up here. You can see that they have different styles and prefixes and classes and all of that. You can change to maybe a larger size if you really wanted to. That's okay because they are infinitely scalable as vector graphics. So I hit my download SVG, agree and download. That's all good. Go back to my Figma page. And then I'm going to go File and Place Image, grab my home solid, place it over here. I can shift and move it, get my little home icon added to my page, and I try and keep it aligned with the image. It's not super important. But yeah, if we want to change the color of this too, you can see that I can now go over here and change up the color of my icon. And there we go. We now have a couple different things that we have added into our portfolio. So this is real basic. We remember that we want to keep this simple. Simple colors, simple fonts, everything like that. But that is it. If you have any questions, please reach out. Enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you later. Peace out.